did the police say?
Eli's dad got the job fair and square, according to Stefan. What did I miss?
Great cheese onion pasta.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what this case really boils down to is, who do you believe? Mr. Brent or Miss Neelan? The talented young man with a bright future ahead, or the young woman whose own mother describes her as violent and unpredictable?
What you need to understand is that Kelly isn't the monster that the prosecution or my learned friend would have you believe. I know her. And quite well, in fact. Has she had a hard life? Yes. And did she miss out on the privilege of a stable and loving family? Most definitely, but does that mean that she's capable of kicking and beating a young man to death? Absolutely not. And I appeal to you to look at the facts of this case and not let your prejudices about Kelly's background cloud your judgment.
So let's look at the facts, shall we? Kelly was found to have blood spatter on the dress she was wearing that night, which puts her in close proximity to the attack. Close enough to have done it.
Conveniently enough for my learned friend, Corey's clothing has never been found. He changed out of the clothes that we know he was wearing when the attack took place and disposed of them before any forensic examination could be done. His trainers, by his own admission, were put in the washing machine, so if there is any lack of evidence to indicate that Corey was Seb's attacker, it's because Corey was mindful enough to destroy it. Now, why would he do that? It's because that, unlike Kelly, his clothes and his trainers were covered in blood.
Let's move on to the witnesses. Nina claims to have seen Corey attacking Seb. She also claims to have heard Kelly shouting at him to stop. But none of this evidence was presented until the day before the trial. At best, this is a false memory triggered by the reconstruction of the crime conducted by a cohort of Kelly's supporters. At worst, this is a deliberate attempt to pin the blame on my client.
What reason would Nina have to lie? She loved Seb, so surely it would be safe to assume that she would want to see justice done. And as to the assertion that Nina somehow created a false memory, it is strange that she described the exact same scenario as Eli did. Only in his version of events, Kelly was the attacker, and Corey was the one screaming at her to stop. But let me remind you that he, too, changed his account of the attack during the trial itself.
I submit to you that of the two witnesses, Eli is by far the more reliable. He's already been convicted for the attack on Nina, meaning he has little to gain by misleading this court.
Well, that's a lie. His dad was given a bug.
My lady, this evidence was not submitted to the court.
Members of the jury, you must ignore that allegation. And Miss Franklin, I know this process is distressing for you, but I will remove you from the court if there are any more outbursts like that. You may continue.
As I was saying, unlike Nina, Eli didn't suffer any trauma to the head or memory loss. He clearly saw Kelly kicking Seb as he lay on the floor. She is the one responsible for taking that young man's life, not Corey. And for that reason, I urge you to find him not guilty.
Kelly did make a terrible mistake that night. She left a helpless man to die. I've tried to ask myself, why would she do that? And I believe her when she says she panicked. She knew that by taunting Nina, she was painting a target on their backs. And she felt horribly guilty and responsible for what Corey then went on to do to Seb. But his actions are not her responsibility. And she could not possibly have foreseen just how far he would go. And finally, you may ask yourselves, why didn't she go to the police in the days that followed? That's something I can answer for you quite simply. She didn't think she'd be believed because of who she was. She didn't have a father Or an army of lawyers protecting her like Corey did. And telling her what to say so as not to incriminate herself. She only had the truth. But she thought the system was rigged against her. Please, don't prove her right on that count. And members of the jury, I ask you, follow the evidence and find Kelly Nealon not guilty.